Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think everything works fine. Okay, hey guys, welcome back to another pre-market live analysis with IC Markets. Alright, as usual, remember to look at the disclaimer. Remember that everything in this webinar is educational in nature and nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. Alright, so please remember to do your own due diligence before you guys trade. Okay, alright, so the agenda for today will be number 1, high impact news events for the week ahead, and also key technical setups to watch out for. Alright, I'm your host for today. My name is Woon and I'll be going through review today's pre-markets live analysis. Okay, so for the key news events coming for this week. Alright, for Monday, right, we have no high impact news. So Monday and Friday, since there are no news, it will be pretty still. The markets will not be as volatile. Alright, and as for Tuesday, we have CAD CPI as well as USD CPI. Alright, so please be careful for these two currencies. Alright, and as for Wednesday, we have GBP Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking, as well as GBP CPI. Alright, so Wednesday GBP would tend to be more volatile. So as well, since we also have USD PPI news, alright, so please be careful for pairs such as GBP USD and GBP JPY. Alright, we will see a lot of movements for these two pairs. Alright, and as for Thursday, we have AUD employment change and AUD unemployment rate. Okay, so generally this would affect pairs like AUD USD, etc. Alright, so usually for AUD, if you guys realize, AUD moves pretty slowly, but with such news, right, such as AUD unemployment rate, right, it'll create volatility for this pair. Okay, and as for USD on Thursday, we have core retail sales as well as unemployment claims. Okay, so generally for Thursday, USD as usual will be the last volatile day of the week ahead. Okay, let me move this slightly lower. Okay. Okay, great. Now let's move on to the exciting part, which is the trading view. Okay, let's go on the daily. So we are on the daily time frame right now. Let's go to the XY. Okay, so as usual, for any pairs that you guys want me to go through with you, feel free to type it in the chat box below and I will go through all the pairs that you guys request for. Alright, okay, so now let's take a look at DXY. Okay, so for DXY, a common point that we can find is probably this high over here. Okay, so this is our pivot point, and let's see if there is any feeble retracement levels over here. Yep, there is the 50% feeble retracement level. Okay, so 50 and 70. And 76. Okay, 50 and 78.6. Okay, then this shall be our resistance level. Okay, and as for our support, we shall use this low as our support level. Alright, since we have this all these levels right here, let's see if we are also able to find a projection. I think there is no projection. Yeah. Okay, so we've chosen this as our pivot point because it's a previous swing high resistance as well as this first resistance level. Okay, and it aligns very nicely with the 50% Fibo retracement level and 78.6% Fibo retracement level. Alright, so I think it's pretty straightforward. Then we can label this as downward movement. And overall for the DXY trend, if you see on the higher time frame, we are on the daily time frame, you can see how it's creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at for DXY. Alright, and as for Euro USD, okay, we shall use this as our pivot point because it is a very nice level for a pullback support. Okay, so this is our pivot point, and as for our support level, this shall be our support level. This is a overlap support area. Okay, I'll choose this instead of here, right, because this makes more sense and it reduces our stop loss level. Alright, you can see the break of this area over here and then the retest over here. So this is a valid area for a support. Okay, and as for our resistance, very clear cut is this swing high resistance level over here. Okay, let's see if we are able to find any Fibo retracement levels. Okay, so I think the first support lines up very nicely with the 50% level. Okay. Then let's see if I will able to find a %78.6% projection. Okay, so this area, I think for this area there are two levels that you might want to look at. Alright, the first level will be this pivot point, which is a pullback support level. And as for this first support area, right, you can see how there is Fibo confluence here. So there is a possibility if price breaks past this pivot point, the next area that you look at will be here. Okay, so how to put your TP and SL levels would be, firstly, if you were to enter here, put your stop loss right about this low and TP right here, gathering a 1:1.5 risk to reward ratio. And the other option is to enter buys over here, stop loss placed below this low. If you go to H4, you can see that this area is another area of consolidation, so it's fine to put below this area of consolidation here. Alright, there will be a nicer risk to reward ratio, 1:3.41. Okay, so I would suggest to see how price closes above this pivot point. If it doesn't close above, then don't enter. Alright. Okay, so let's put this as buys. Okay, as for GBP USD, okay, so for GBP USD, this will be a valid pivot point right here. Okay, let me adjust this. Yep, this will be a valid pivot point. over here, right? This is a overlap support level, and as for our first support, we shall put it right here as well, which is also an overlap support level. Okay, then as for our resistance, very clear cut, we will place it above this swing high resistance level over here. Okay. Alright, so let me see if you are able to find a fit. Okay, 61.8%. Alright, I think it's pretty clear cut that we have a nice trade over here. Then we have, let's see, okay, then we also have another Fibo retracement level over here, which is added Fibo confluence together with, we have 38.2% and 61.8% Fibo retracement levels over here. Okay, so this I think is pretty straightforward. Then let's see if we are able to find, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's okay, let me use this as, let me put buys over here. Oops. Okay, I think it's pretty okay right now. Yes, looks fine. And since we have, let me see, since we have yes, GBP news on Wednesday. Okay, so I believe this trade might play out earlier than Wednesday. Okay, let's see how it actually reacts to this pivot point over here. Alright, okay, moving on to USD JPY. Okay, so for USD JPY, right, you can see, I think price is trying to consolidate. You can see how it is creating this area over here, right? So there might be a possibility that it continues to trade within this channel over here. Alright, so let's see how we can place our pivot point. Okay, so for our pivot point, right, we can use this as our pivot point over here. Let me look at DXY. Yeah, I think it's okay. Okay, then as for first resistance, we will place it above this high right here. Okay. This first resistance is a overlap resistance level, and this pivot point is a multi-swing high resistance level. Okay, so but for this trade, I think you will have to be quite careful, because there is a possibility for price to create a very strong bullish momentum to break past these highs. Okay, so long as price start to close below this pivot point on the H4, so meaning it starts to create, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so once it starts to create bearish candles, okay, for example, it starts to create bearish candles and closes below this pivot point, then I think you can start to take sells. Okay, but if not, if it closes above, okay, if it closes above like this, right, if it closes above, then the next level that you will be looking at is this first resistance level over here. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. Alright, and as for our support, right, as I mentioned previously, price might still be in this channel, so we can use this as our first support level. Yeah, so please remember that we are on the daily time frame, so the gaps might be a bit huge, but you can refine it on the H4 levels. All right. Okay, let me see if we are able to find okay, we have a projection, and let me see, price has gone past here. Okay, six one. Okay, I think this is fine. 100% projection and 161. Okay. Okay, so this is for USD JPY. Alright, so let's move on to USD CHF. Okay, so for USD CHF, I think it's another pretty straightforward pullback trade. Okay, so you can see right here we've placed this as our pivot point because this is a overall is a downtrend, right? So we want to continue trading in that direction. All right, so we are looking for sales as a pullback. All right, and it aligns very nicely with the 38.2% Fibo retracement level. Okay, and as for our resistance, we have chosen this as our swing high resistance level over here. All right, and then for our support is this swing low support level here. So I think it's pretty easy, right? So not too complicated. Let's see. Okay, remember anything that you guys are unclear of, please remember to just type it in the chat box and I'll attend to it. Alright, other than that, any pairs that you guys want me to go through with you, please feel free to type it in the chat box as well. Okay, and for USD CAD, I think we have news on Tuesday. Yes, so since we have news on Tuesday, alright, what we are looking at is, let me see, okay, well, USD CAD is kind of messy. Let me see, yeah, I think this is fine. We can use this as our pivot point. Let me see. Yes, I think we can use this as our pivot point. I would like to use this as our pivot point. For such trades like this, right? If you guys are not sure, right, USD CAD tend to wick out a lot, meaning that for example, let's say we put this as our pivot point, right? USD CAD will tend to create wicks like this and a body like this. Yeah, so it'll take out your stop loss and come back down to where it was supposed to go back to. Alright, so I would like to put my pivot point slightly higher. Okay, and then let's see. Okay, and it aligns very nicely with the 61.8% Fibo retracement level. 61.8. Okay, and as for our resistance level, we can place it above this high over here. Alright. Okay, then for our support, we will place it at here. which is a multi-swing low support level. Okay, 1, 2, let me see. Yep, it aligns very nicely with the 100% projection. So this level over here, right, you can see how once we have 61.8% Fibo retracement aligning together with 100% Fibo projection, right, this gives us Fibo confluence. So there is a higher possibility for price to come down from here. Okay. Okay, now let's put our bearish arrow. Okay, so we are almost done with the majors, then we will move on to commodities. Okay, for here, let's see. Alright, so for this trade, let me see. Wow, this. Then we will need to draw. Should I pick this as my %78.6%, 8.6%, and then I think this is fine. 78.6%, 78.6. I think it's fine. I think this is fine. This could be our pivot point. Let me see. Entry 1, 38.6. Wow, AUD USD is pretty not very nice to trade. You can see, let me see. Oh, yes, wait, let me see if it crossed 50%. Nope, we can't use that. Okay. One 6-1. Yeah, I think we only have this 78.6% Fibo projection, because if we use 161.8%, it will be slightly lower and it won't align with our horizontal key level. Alright, so the most important thing is, of course, our horizontal key level. So that is the number one priority. Then after that, then we are looking at other factors. Okay. Alright, so let's see, what about our resistance? I think our resistance level would be placed I can't place it here. I don't really like how price cuts through this area, right? But apart from that, there is no other oh wait, we could use, no, yeah, I think that is the only option, is to place it above H4. Definitely we can see that it's a high, but for daily, daily, how many pips is this? 6. Yeah, I think we can use this. Let's use this instead. Even though price cuts through, but I think it makes more sense to put it above here. Okay, and as for our support, of course we will place it below this swing low support level over here. Alright, then we are looking for sells. Yes, that's for AUD USD. Okay. And as for NZD USD, okay, NZD USD is pretty straightforward. Price is coming down right now. We can use this as our multi swing low support level, which is, we will label it as our pivot point. And then for our support, we can use this as our support level over here. Okay, then as for our resistance, we will use this as our overlap resistance level. Okay, this is what I am looking at. I think there is also a fit level. Let me check. Yep, it aligns nicely with the 78.6% Fibo retracement level. Okay, 78.6%, and then yes, let me see. 1, 2, 3. $100. Okay, doesn't line up. Okay, so we take this out. Yep, so NZD USD, it looks better for buys, right, as compared to yeah, AUD USD. So I think for, wait, let me see. Yeah, for NZD USD, I would buy, right? AUD USD, there are not much of a buy opportunity, right? Yeah, it's only waiting for price to come up to this level for sales. But for NZD USD, I think it's more straightforward. It created a higher high, so right now it might react to this multi swing low support level over here. Okay, because you can see how market structure, higher high, broke this high, created a higher high, created a higher low, created a higher high, and also broke this high over here. So what's next is it could react to this level to create a new higher high. Okay, so I think it's pretty simple as well for this trade. Very, very straightforward. Okay, then this one should be bullish arrow. Okay, next we will look at oil. Okay, so for oil, right now you can see how price is going up, right? So there was a buy opportunity, but the buys didn't really come down to where I was looking at. So right now, let's see, are there any other areas that we might be able to look for sells? Okay, so one area that you might be able to look at is wow, what is this candle? Yeah, this is the only, I would suggest to stay out of oil for now, because of how price is. It's not really creating it's not really making a lot of sense right now. Yep, so I would suggest to not enter for oil. Yep, you can see how messy it is, created by this huge bearish candle over here. Yeah, so I would suggest to stay out of oil unless a better opportunity presents itself. Okay, then wow, price is cutting through so much. Yeah, this is the setup for oil if you guys actually do trade oil. But I would suggest, because of this bearish candle, price action don't really look that nice, right? It could easily just create something, price action, something like this, right, to fill up this gap over here, right? You can see how price is already starting to be attracted towards filling up this gap. Yeah, so I would suggest to stay out of oil for the time being. Okay. All right, and as for gold, let's take a look. Okay, gold has presented a very nice opportunity previously, right, with a trend line and pivot point over here, right? But for now, price has really gone up. So let's take a look at where are some other areas that, let me see. Okay, I think this is fine as a support. For price to come back down here is, wow, 500 pips. Let's take a look. Yep, we are in a very strong uptrend right now. Okay, so I was hoping for price to come back down to this area over here. Right, let me see on HCR, because this is such a nice pullback level for gold, right? But if you were to take a look at the daily chart, it doesn't look that nice after all. Let's see. We definitely don't want to take sales, even though this is a nice area for sales, but I'll suggest not to take this level for sales. Yes, I think for this trade, what I am looking at is a break. I would like a break and retest of this level. Yeah, so I would suggest place the support a bit tighter, and then we are playing the upside for upside potential. Okay, because let me see, I really like this level instead though. This has such good potential over here. Yeah, I think I'll stick to this instead, right? Daily don't look that good, but I think on H4 it looks better. Let me see. Okay. Yep, I think we'll stick to this. This is fine. But of course on daily it doesn't look that good. Let me see. Are there any other ways that I can look at this trade? So let me see. price created. Yep, so created this daily higher low might create a higher high. Yep, okay, let's wait for gold, let's wait for price to actually close above, then we can start to enter buys. Okay, of course, another way that you can look at it is the pullback. Alright, pullback meaning this level over here. Okay, this level is extremely nice because I think, if I'm not wrong, there is a fib retracement over here, 50%. Yep, a very nice 50% Fibo retracement level. Then it presents a nice opportunity. If you enter here, stop loss place below here and target these highs. I think 1 is to 2.3. Yep. Okay, but if not, then we are looking for, yep, on the daily. Okay, then we are waiting for price to break past this level over here. Then we will enter buys. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward as well. Okay, now let's look at indices. Okay, for indices, right, you can see US 30. Alright, we have a very nice pivot point over. Oh, price has gone past. Okay, that's fine. There is another level right here. Oh. There is another level right here for our pivot point, and then this is our support. Is yeah, okay, then this is our resistance level, first resistance. Okay, so right now price is hovering around the highs over here. Okay, so what we are looking at is for price to come back down, and then we enter based off the pullback support level. Okay, so this is our pivot point and this is our support. And then using this multi-swing high resistance level as our first resistance area. Okay, so we are looking for buys. Okay, 100% projection, very nice. Okay, is there any Fibo? Yep. Okay, so we have, let me draw this a little bit better. Okay, so this pullback support area, this pivot point, aligns with the 50% Fibo retracement level as well as 100% Fibo projection level. So this indicates that there is a nice area for buys. Okay, because we have a Fibo confluence area over here. Okay, so I think this US 30 trade will be a pretty decent trade, right? As for this, if you guys want to enter, right, you can place buys over here. Your stop loss can place below this low. You can see this low over here. Okay, not to place your support all the way here. Place it right about slightly below this low. Okay, then for your target, you are targeting back to the highs, which is 1:3.5. Okay. Alright, so let's move on to Germany 40. Let me see. It created an all-time high already. Let's see. Thursday created an all-time high. Friday coming down. Let's see. Is there? Yes, I think for Germany 40, one area I could look at would be this area over here. Okay, why I chose this as my pivot point is because this will be too far. If I were to place my first support here, my pivot point here, it will take too long to reach, right? But for here, okay, it makes more sense because it's a overlap support level, right? Price could come down here and come back up. Okay, so we might be able to see some movements. All right, then let's see. Yep, and it aligns nicely with the 61.8% Fibo retracement level. Okay, let's see if we are able to find a projection. I think 61.8% projection as well as 61.8% retracement. Okay, so this is a nice area for buys. Okay, and same thing, if you guys want to enter, right, you can enter based off this level, stop loss placed below this low, targets back at this high over here. 1:3.4, 1:3.1, right? Why I will place it below here is referencing this swing low level, right? I could also put it roughly about here, right? But I would prefer it to be right about this level. Okay, so far so good. Okay, now let's take a look at US 500. Okay, which is also S&P 500. Okay, so as we all know, S&P 500 has reached all-time high already, right? So one level that we are looking at would be, oh, this is so complicated. Okay, one area that I'm looking at would be this pullback level over here. Okay. And as for our support, we will place it below this low support. This is our pivot. Let me see. Okay, we have 61.8% projection. What about retracement? Yep, we have 38.2% retracement as well. And as for our resistance, where should we place it? 127.2%, which is this level. Let me do a quick check. Okay, let me remark this out. This is our pivot point. This is our first support. Okay, then as for our resistance, we will choose our resistance based off the 127.2% Fibo extension. Okay, yeah, Then for our let's see, 38.2%. Okay, then we also have yep. Okay, so for this pivot point, I think it's pretty solid. Right, what we're looking at is for price to come back down to this pullback support area, right, aligning with the 38.2% Fibo retracement level as well as 78.6% Fibo projection level. Okay, so this area is a nice buy area, okay, for price to continue upwards. So hopefully for all the people holding stocks, etc., right, once price comes to this pivot point, there could be a bounce upwards to come up to this first resistance level. So it could be a good sign, right? But of course, you have to be careful of such movements because price is now at a all-time high and we wouldn't know what will happen. Okay. Okay, so far we have covered, oh yes, we have covered majors, commodities as well as indices. Okay, let's see if let's do the last two crypto. Okay, so far BTC has created, wow, BTC is already at 119. Okay, previously, wow, this was such a strong bullish candle. Okay, so price, okay, so there is a possibility for price to actually come up towards this pivot point right here because it aligns with our 61.8% Fibo projection as well as 161.8% Fibo extension level. Okay, so once price shows confluence here, it's risky to sell. Okay, so I would suggest to hold off a little bit right before you see bearish movements on the H4 and H1 time frames. Then of course our first resistance level is based off the next projection level, which is 78.6% Fibo projection level. Okay, and then for our first support is of course this pullback support level over here. Okay, I would love to take buys once price comes back down to 112,000, right, this pullback support level. Yep. So let's see how price might react to these levels over here. Okay. Then what about ETH? Okay, so for ETH we have it presents a nicer opportunity for buys. Okay, why? Because we have a very nice pivot point over here. We have a very nice pivot point over here acting as a pullback pivot point. Okay, and as for our support, let's see. Let's see, this is my pivot point. Yeah, this makes a lot more sense, pivot point. Then for our first support, we can choose this. Even though price cut through a little bit right here, but it's fine because we have multiple touches. So I would like to use areas where there are multiple touches. It is a better horizontal key level. Okay, and as for our resistance shall be this high over here. So this is our resistance level. Okay, then for our, let me see, 23, 23.78. Okay, 23.6%. And then let's see. I think this lines up. Does this line up with? Nope. Okay. Yeah, I think this is fine for ETH. Okay, so for ETH USD, I think it presents a nicer opportunity for buys. Okay, as compared to BTC, because BTC is already at a all-time high right now. Okay, so ETH you could possibly also buy, right, once price comes to this pivot point. Okay, gives us a better opportunity and entry. Alright, so yes, I think we've covered crypto, majors, commodities, and indices as well. Okay, so that is all from me to you guys. Alright. Okay. Yeah. Thank you once again for tuning in to today's pre-market live analysis. I hope that you guys know the trade setups for this week ahead, and please stay safe and trade safe. Alright, I shall see you guys again next time. Okay, bye bye.